Hello everyone, Akro here. So today we're actually going to be doing a solo episode. Jay actually did a solo episode a little while back last year about posing, and today I'm going to do a solo episode about my first ever build competition, my experience, and all the details that relate to it. So if you're not a fan of me or you're not interested about it, I completely understand. But yeah, it's just a solo episode. It's gonna be me yapping for I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but basically I'm gonna be telling you guys all the details about my first ever build competition. So I don't think this video is gonna get edited. Actually, that's a lie. There's a little bit of a gap right here where I left enough space to be able to put photos and videos that I took during and before and after the competition, so I can kind of back up on the things that I say. Uh, if you're just an audio listener, I don't think there's gonna be anything that you're gonna be missing out on, even if you just listen to this video. But no, there will be some videos and photos to kind of back up the things that I'm saying. So let's get started. So let's start off with the build, which you can see in the back. And if you follow me on Instagram, you probably have seen it a few times on my feed. I decided to do my own version of the Wing Zero Snow White, which is not a kit that exists from Bandai, if I remember correctly. I know that there are like a figure of it as well as a third party release of the kit, but you can't just get the Snow White itself from Bandai or P Bandai. So, and if you guys don't know, I love the Wing Zero. I built 8 of them so far. So I was like, I had one last one laying in my backlog, and I was like, I wanted to do something nice, something that I'll probably keep in my personal collection, and so I decided to do the Snow White. However, if you're familiar with the design, if not, I'll probably editor Danny. Please put up a photo. It's a very simple design. It's pretty much the Wing Zero completely white with added on like wing effect parts, and then a little bit of like gold, yellow, bronze, whatever color you want it. Like I don't exactly know what the original one is. And so I decided, well, let me try and recreate that color scheme, but elevate it. So because of course this is a build competition, you can't really just paint an entire kit white and expect much. You got to do a little bit more. So what did I do? So I had the original Wing Zero Verka, the blue, white, red, the regular color scheme that you guys are all familiar with. And I had this third party expansion kit add-ons. It's just literally called MG Snow White for Wing Zero, but it's just the 3 or the 6 wings that you see kind of sticking out. Um, if you don't know, when you the regular Wing Zero, the wings are pretty good, but if you don't add a lot of details to it, it can look kind of boring. And so I did end up adding details to it, but at the same time, like the design itself by nature is kind of simple. So I think the adding or I think putting on the Snow White add-ons is very important. And originally, it was supposed to be a frame, like imagine a picture frame or a shadow box, whatever you want to call it, and the wing gear is kind of sticking out of it, and I was gonna have feathers kind of flying out of it, and the kit in the middle. But I didn't have enough time for that, which I'll also get into it. As for the color scheme, I went with the Snow White design, but I decided to add my finishing touches, which was adding the highlights on the wings, the we're just gonna call it rose gold because it's kind of in between of like bronze and like gold. So yeah, we're just gonna call it rose gold from now on. But all the rose gold highlights and just adding the shading on the tip of the wings as well as just smaller details, just so the design has a little bit more to see when you look at it. As well as, I don't know if the photos do it justice, but I had to actually mask and separate a lot of parts because I decided to do two tones. One is like a very bone white, and then I mixed a like a very light gray, and I'm talking like very close to white. But if you look at it in person and if you look at it in the photos, sometimes you'll be able to see the color separation. So it's not just all white, or else it's gonna be too boring. And then I used about 4 different Verca decals that I've acquired from my previous Wing Zeros, as well as I think I used the narrative ones, the Sinanji ones, and the Zeta. So yeah, quite a lot of decals, but I used all Verca decals, so it kind of all matches the, I guess, the aesthetic of it. So that's the build itself, and that's what I decided to enter my first competition with. Because I thought, like, you know what, I've done the Wing Zero multiple times. I feel pretty confident, and this is a unique design. Not everyone is gonna be doing it, and so this I have a good chance of winning something. So let's go into entering the competition and preparing. Well, my preparation for this competition was after, I would almost say there wasn't, in the sense that I found out about this competition at a photography, like a camera store. They just had a flyer about the event, and I was like, oh, okay, that's an event. I found about a month before the event, and I was like, you know what, there's a good chance for me to do it. I actually didn't look at any of the details because I got really busy with other stuff. And then about 2 weeks before, I was like, you know what? I think 2 weeks will be enough. I can usually do a master grade in less than a week. This is just a master grade with some add-ons. I should be able to do it in 2 weeks. So let me do it. Big mistake. Why is that a big mistake? 2 weeks seems like a lot of time, but it goes fast. And this kit, especially when you're doing a competition where you're not really cutting any corners, you're really doing the most that you can, it takes up a lot of time. I spent a lot of time painting, masking, and prepping, and going back on like mistakes that I've done. And usually, like when I do a build for myself, I'm gonna, if I mess up on something that is not really a big deal, I'm not really gonna go back and fix it. This one I did, but I also have experience with fixing it because I've done commissions before, and I'm not gonna be giving someone that has a major flaw. So that took a while. And then I finished the main kit about 2 days, I would say, before the event was supposed to happen. I still didn't have a display or a diorama for it. And I was worried because I've been told that in competitions, dioramas usually do well. Having a nice display for your kit does well, and I can see why. Just a kit by itself can get a little bit boring sometimes. So just having a little bit of a scenery around it does make it better. And I think that frame would have been pretty good for it. But at the same time, I'm also kind of glad I didn't do it because um, you probably see it once I upload the videos, but it's just a flat table with all the model kits standing up to it, and I feel like a frame would just stick out like a sore thumb, and it could be in favor, but also can work against you. And so what I ended up doing was I just painted the original action base that came with the kit, and I did all the panel lines in the same gold that I did, so it would match it, but it'll be in black, so it's not really, doesn't look connected. It looks separated from the kit. So that's what I ended up doing. And then 2 days before, I couldn't really like find a lot of details that I wanted to know. So I just called the event organizer. For those who are wondering, I decided to participate in the IPMS First Coast JaxCon build competition. So it was in JaxCon, it was a build competition that was hosted by IPMS First Coast. I have their website pulled up, but and for those who don't know what IPMS is, it's the International Plastic Model Society in the USA. So, if you are a builder that participates, it's a pretty popular like organizer. So it's a good one to participate in. I contacted the event organizer and I was like, hey, can I get all the information that I need, as well as what do I need to submit? How do I enter? It's pretty simple actually. You just had to pay $20 to enter a kit, and you had to fill out a model entry form. So I'm gonna read you guys what I ended up putting. So the subject, which basically is the name. Shout out to Studios. He's been on the podcast, but he was like, you should name it. And I was originally just gonna do Snow White, but then I was like, let me be a little bit more tacky with it. I don't know. So I just did Angel of Life Wing Zero Verka. The scale, of course, was 1 in 100. Manufacturer is Bandai. And then there's a section where write comments and descriptions of work performed below this line. So what did I do? Well, I did a full recolor of the Wing Zero Verka. This entire kit was painted using an airbrush, used white and a custom light shade of light gray for armor separation, and then added rose gold accents and highlights. Inner frame and weapons were painted with gunmetal. A third-party expansion pack for the wings were also painted in the same color scheme and added to the model kit. Basic skills such as nub removal, sanding, seam line removal were used during the preparation process. The base was also painted black and rose gold to match the kit of the design. So yeah, and this is what you end up printing out and putting next to your kit. So I recommend kind of going into detail. Don't just say like, "Yo, I built a kit," because the judges sometimes don't know what you did. You can't really tell, and this is a good way to kind of really emphasize what you did. If you did something beyond what I said, definitely write it down. And then there's also other things that I learned afterwards that I'll talk about. So got that figured out, and then you know figured out where I needed to go, what time I needed to be there, and yeah, that's all I had to know. So now I'm like, okay, I got the event. I have pretty much what I wanted to take. A little sore about the diorama or the base, but I'm okay with just participating in this. I'm actually going in the mindset of just learning, to be honest. This is my first build competition, never been to one. I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know who I'm going to talk to, and I don't know how the judging is going to be. And as someone who I haven't actually been around a lot of um, customizers, I haven't seen a lot of like painted work in person. Most of the things I see is through Instagram, which is it's still a good way to learn, but like you can edit photos, you can make kids look a lot better. And so that's why like I wanted to see things in person. And so this was the whole purpose of this me entering the competition. Let me take a sip of this juice. Okay. So all right, I got the kit. I know how to enter the competition 2 days before the competition. So don't do that, by the way. Um, be more prepared than I am. I purposely kind of, not really purposely, but I went into this competition halfway thinking I'm gonna enter, and the other half of me was like, I don't know, because schedule, is all over the place. Sometimes I can find time, I sometimes I can't, and so, but I still wanted to do a build that no matter what I would take to a build competition. So this Wing Zero wasn't rushed at all. It was going to pretty much put all the effort and details that I can put into. So if I enter a competition in the near future, I have something I can take that I'm proud of. All right, so let's skip to the day of the event, which was on a Saturday. It was a 2-hour drive from where I live. I woke up around 8 a.m., chugged a Red Bull, and got to driving. And so after a long 2-hour drive where I was scared as shit for braking too hard, or else my kit that's sitting next to me, or my passenger princess, would go flying and break. So transportation of a kit, that's also another thing that if you guys have any tips and tricks about it, please let me know. Because the way I ended up doing was I kind of took it apart, grabbed the bottom of a box, the gray box, put a bunch of towels, and then put it on top. So that's the way I took it. I'm sure there's much safer ways to do it. I'm sure some people like probably build a custom Pelican case for that. I'm not balling like that, so but that's how I took it, and just driving really slow and got my baby to the competition. So I arrived around 10 a.m. Everything had to be there before 12 p.m. because that's when the entry time ends, and then it starts like the event kind of goes public, and then judging was around 3 p.m. So I got there around 10 a.m., set down my kit, put the entry form. Well, I paid and then put it down, put my entry form, and kind of looked around. I actually got there pretty early when I first got there, and I think I have some videos from when I first got there. Um, there were like barely any Gundam kits. I was a little worried. There are barely any Gunpla kits. I was like, okay, maybe this is like not the competition I should have entered. There, I would say hundreds and thousands of cars and plane model kits, and I think that's what IPMS is mainly based on. But I think there were less than 10 when I got there. So I dropped it off, did a quick walk around, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna actually come back and like properly look at everything, but I'm hungry. So I left and I went to grab some coffee and some breakfast or a late lunch or brunch or whatever you call it. Refueled and then came back. And then when I came back, I was happy to see there were more Gunpla kits on the table. The entire section actually was pretty full. It's quite a small section. I would say it's about like 2 tables worth of kits, and then the rest were all car and planes and stuff like that. And then so judging starts around 3 p.m. So that means that once it hits 3 p.m., you're no longer allowed to be in that area because only the judges are going to be there looking at your model kits. So before then, everyone, all the contestants can kind of walk around and see. I was hoping to talk to a lot of people, but the problem that I realized is people aren't just kind of stand next to their model kits. Everyone's kind of walking around. So even if I wanted to ask questions about a specific model kit, I couldn't really find the person unless like they just happened to be there. So I was just observing. This is actually pretty nice because like you can look at model kits outside of Gunpla and still get inspiration and learn a lot. Car model kits, especially a lot of them are very clean. Learning gloss coding and stuff like that, and dioramas as well. There are quite a lot of them, and just understanding how to do small details. It was really nice. There were also just some fantasy builds. Some people were 3D printing, and it was incredible to see how clean some of these 3D printed builds were, because I'm so used to seeing 3D printed builds have all that 3D print line. That makes it recognizable. So a lot of great work. I'm sure there will be editor Danny. Please put all the videos that he filmed. But yeah, plenty of kits and like. Then judging starts around 3 p.m. So you're no longer able to be there. So you kind of have to leave that area. This is when I walked around. There's a bunch of vendors there that are selling a bunch of stuff. I actually didn't get anything because I'm not gonna get a car model kit. I'm not gonna increase the backlog. There are a few things that I wanted to get, like decals and stuff, but I was like, you know what? I really don't want to be shopping right now. So they also had a raffle where you could put get raffle tickets to win. I put $5. Of course, I didn't win anything. But it's all good. There's but besides that, unfortunately, not a lot of things to do outside of that. This is also I was probably the youngest person in that building that was competing. There are a lot of older gentlemen and just buildings in general that that were competing. So yes, did I feel out of place? Absolutely. I don't know if there's gonna be a photo, but of like all the people there, but I definitely felt out of place. But at the same time, I didn't, because I'm surrounded by people doing the same thing that I love to do. So, but it wasn't like an environment where I could just walk up to someone and start talking. Because I just it's like I kind of feel out of place. Okay, so then the judging ended pretty quickly. Actually, it only took about an hour, I would say. Within that hour, I was just chilling, just looking around the vendors, and then I just chilling in the car, and I came back, and soon after that, they're like, "Hey, okay, um, the announcement will be soon." This is where my lack of knowledge came. I thought that like they're gonna go on stage and start announcing everything, but what ended up happening is the I guess the exhibition area will open back up, and all the builders can kind of go back and see what their kits placed. So yeah, when the judging was done, the exhibition hall opened back again, and I walked back to the Gunpla section, and this is actually where I was able to talk to a lot of the people that competed as well, because now they're all there. And where was I going with? Oh yeah, so I went back, and all the kits had a bunch of these coins. I'm like, huh, that's cool. This is also stupid of me. I did not really look into how the judging worked, which I'll explain afterwards. But I'm like, huh, this is cool. They all look same or different colors, but like they all look the same. I was like, that's nice. And then one of the guys was like, yeah, so I won bronze. And then I was like, how do you know that? And then it's like, oh, because in the back of the corner, on the side, you can tell the color. So I looked at mine, and I got lucky, but I ended up getting gold. As you can see, if you just look at it from the front, it's kind of hard to tell. Also, having this little case, but it's kind of hard to tell. I guess the outlines of the trim is gold, but if you look at it just from the top, like when it's laying flat on the tape, I couldn't really tell. I was very excited. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know if I was gonna get anything. And I was very excited to know that I was able to get gold. Of course, this is my first build competition. I don't know how you guys are, but for me, I kind of went in not expecting anything, and this is the best outcome that could have happened. Just to give you a little bit of idea on how judging works, I know there's a lot of different build competition judging methods. The way this was done is you every kit is graded based on tiers, which is gold, silver, bronze, or sometimes you just can't qualify. Um, and so a judge would just look at your kit and then determine what the rating is, and then give you whatever that rating is. So I'll actually have the judging standards pulled up. For the I also there's adults and juniors. Of course, I'm an adult, so I just do adult. But for gold, it must be for all practical appearances, not technically free of any basic problems. It must also show evidence of advanced skills that go beyond out of the box building techniques, such as but not limited to open detail panels, equipment, significant conversion work, scratch building techniques in two or more different areas, and superb finishing skills. The finish should appear flawless in all areas and also exhibit higher levels of finishing skills beyond a monochromatic finish. Yeah, good thing we did a little bit of that. Rose gold, huh? Also maintaining authenticity, not accuracy. It should exhibit a higher level of effort both in scope of the work and degree of difficulty. There should be evidence of some risk taken by the builder uh, in what they succeeded, not just attempted in pulling off. Aftermarket items, if used, should be expertly added, exceptionally painted, and enhanced further. A gold level build should have more than just store bought added detailing. It's a build you would nominate for the best of in its genre. So that's what qualifies you as gold. And I was very happy to find out that I got gold, which was insane. And of course, after we got back and all the people are kind of going back and looking at the medal, I was able to talk to the people that competed in the same category in the Gunpla section. So I was actually got to talk to someone who did a beautiful Faz. There's another one who did a mega size Laku, um, a five star stories model kit. That's the first time I finally got to see one in person. Very happy to see that. It was beautiful. I think the 5 star stories was the other one that got um a gold. So yeah, this is not. It wasn't like a first, second, third where everyone's against each other. You're kind of against the judging. So I don't know if this means more or just means less. I feel like the first, second, and third method probably is harder because only I guess 3 winners come out of it, and I would definitely would love to try and do that as well one of these days. But so yeah, I got to talk to a lot of builders, ask about how to do a lot of things. I got a lot of information on weathering and dioramas because there's a lot of people who know how to do that in IPMS. So got some good tips for that. And then after I was done with the builders, I actually started looking for the judges that judge the Gunpla category because I was like, I came here and this is my first competition. I want to know what they're looking for. I have absolutely no idea what um a judge is thinking. So I asked around the workers there were in the IP measure and like, hey, could you tell me who is judging the Gunpla category? Found the person, and I was like, hey, this is my first ever competition. I know the placements are done. Could I take a little bit of your time so you could explain to me the things that you are looking for in a build. This felt a little weird because it's like you win gold and then you're asking for advice. A little weird. The judge kind of made it a little funny about it. He's like funny comments like, you want gold, like why are you asking advice? But I still wanted to know because um like I'm sure there's plenty of things that I could improve on. And for example, with my Snow White, they're like, hey, you could have added a little bit of shading in between the armor separation. And I was like, yeah, I was very scared to do that because I thought the model would look too busy. And he was like, yeah, if you do it very subtly, you probably could have gotten away with it. But I'll make sure to not overdo it, because yeah, if you do like heavy shading, especially in a kit like this crazy, um it can get like look pretty busy. I know, even if it's simple, like all the shading can get very messy. So give me ideas on that. He talked about how important the finish is, like you like how to keep, making sure that your work is not dirty, keeping it clean, um, and kind of perfecting that. And then he also gave me a few good advice. If you're doing anything that's in reference to something in your entry form, make sure to write it down. Um, I got lucky on this, but if judges who don't know anything about Gunpla love symmetry, meaning that like they like to see, the wings to be exactly symmetrical on each side and nothing that's out of place. But if you do a pose that's not symmetrical, they want you to either explain that or show the reference photo that you are using. That helps because a lot, and even if there are judges that are not in that are into Gunpla and stuff like that, they might not know sometimes what you're referencing. So if you're doing a unique pose or a reference to something, put that in your what's it called, entry form. That'll help you a lot, and that might also save you from losing points. So that was a very good advice. And then after that, I actually ended up just getting a couple of business cards. They're like, "Hey, you should join IPMS," and just a lot of lovely compliments. I'm very flattered. This is the first time that I've gotten to talk to experienced builders. So, in conclusion, I would say this was a really fun event. I highly recommend it. Even if you're scared, I was terrified going into this. I was in 2 hours away from home in an area that I've never been in. It was in a church. Like I haven't been to a church in ever. I'm not religious, so um, I'm like I feel so out of place. But at the same time, like I learned a lot. And even if it wasn't directly from judges, it's from just me looking at other model kits. Just because like they don't have a big Gunpla section does not mean that you can't learn about other things. If anything, I would almost argue that like car model kits, rocket or airplane model kits might be harder because you have to do a lot more cleanup, and it's not as advanced as Bandai's like Gunpla technology. So you can go in and actually look at it yourself. And if you're a builder yourself, like it helps to see things in person and not just online, because you can't really trust everything that's online. Like you can Photoshop things now, and they're color filters, you know what I mean? So seeing the IRL shelf presence of a kit, what the heck was that? There's a loud noise that just happened in my house. I think this house is falling apart. Anyways, scared the fuck out of me. Anyways, going back to it. So yeah, I would highly recommend just going out and looking for painted kits and looking for competitions so you can experience that in person. So, will I do it again? Absolutely. My goal is to experience GBWC. I know that's quite a long time away from now. Actually, this is the problem. I want to do build competitions. I don't know any that's coming up, and I don't know the details. I don't know what it is. So I think I'm just gonna build thinking that it's for a competition, and then if there's one nearby, that's when I'll submit. So I already have ideas, a couple of ideas that I want to do. I will definitely be looking into dioramas because seeing these dioramas, even though they're tiny, some of them are like the size of like the circumference of this cup. It's not that big. It's like literally for just to hold that thing up, but it makes a big difference. It adds a little bit of a scene, a little bit more effort that you put into a kit than just having it stand up. So I'm gonna try and learn that. Um, I know it's even more things to do for a model kit, but that is pretty much, I think, everything that I wanted to talk about for my competition. I would definitely be happy to help out if you have any questions. Leave it in the comments below, and I'll answer them myself. Um, I don't know. Maybe next time. I don't think I'll do like a podcast like this talking about it directly. But if that's something that you're more interested in, if you want more solo episodes, let me know. I know I'm supposed to do a painting guide, but one, it's like I don't know if I should be the one giving painting advice. I just started about a year ago, and not even a year ago. And then two, it's a lot of work. If you guys don't know, I paint out of a storage unit that's like about a 5 minute walk from my house. So um, I can't just like turn my camera around. I have to go there, and figuring out how to film there and all that might be a little bit hard. But that will be in the near future. And thank you everyone for supporting VZ Studio. We're very happy to announce this content group. We'll have a lot of podcasts coming up. I know this is different from what you guys are used to seeing, but we'll be back with the regular scheduled VZ podcast with Jay and other guests. So we have a lot of exciting things coming up as well. But I think I covered everything. So hope you enjoyed the episode. Of course, make sure to check the description down below. All of our links will be there, as well as mine. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye bye.